I'm a project coordinator for a charity. We provide aid to Africa, and I usually spend about 4 months a year in the field. My job involves managing our field teams and communicating our aims to government officials. I sometimes find this depressing because there's just so much bureaucracy and corruption too. But then, when I return to Africa and I see the results of our work, like new clinics, hospitals and schools, I think it's all worthwhile and I have a real sense of achievement.
Okay. Well, I'm an air traffic controller. This means I'm in charge of a section of airspace and keeping in contact with pilots in that zone. It's a challenging job. Our most difficult time of the year is the holiday season, when planes are taking off and landing every couple of minutes. It takes total concentration all the time. I usually work a 6-hour shift, and by the end, I feel exhausted. But it's rewarding to know that I've enabled thousands of passengers to travel safely.
Conversation 1.
Hi, Luke. I want you to meet Joe Johansson. Joe is from the Langley Foundation. Joe, this is Luke Akele, one of our area managers.
Nice to meet you, Luke.
Yes, you too. So, what do you do at the Langley Foundation?
Well, I deal with fund applications.
Fund applications? That sounds challenging.
Yes, well, sometimes we have to make difficult choices. And what do you do, Luke?
Well, I'm in charge of our sub-Saharan Africa operations.
Sub-Saharan Africa?
Yes, I oversee projects and make sure that the money is well spent. Then I have to report to our main sponsors.
I see. So how much time do you spend in the field?
Well, I usually do 5 or 6 trips a year, sometimes more.
That's a lot of time away from home.
Conversation 2.
Good evening. I don't think we've met. I'm Hitoshi Watanabe from head office.
I'm delighted to meet you, Miss Watanabe. My name's Dr. Walter Meyer.
I'm very pleased to meet you too, Dr. Meyer. I see from your badge that you are with FPR Pharmaceuticals.
Yes, that's right. I'm responsible for their medical donations program. I handle all the intergovernmental work.
That sounds very rewarding, knowing that you are helping so many people.
Yes, it is. Although it involves a lot of negotiation, which can be quite slow.
Yes, I can imagine that.
So, which part of Japan are you from, Miss Watanabe?
Actually, I'm from Brazil. I am third-generation Brazilian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought... Well...
Please don't apologize. I am proud of my Japanese heritage. Do you have a minute? I would like to introduce you to someone.
Nowadays, we all have too many tasks. Everything seems urgent and nobody has time to wait. But part of the secret of success is not to get distracted, not to react to everything that comes to your desk, but instead to prioritize. Setting priorities is very easy to do. First, you make a list of the tasks that you need to do. Second, you compare these tasks and decide which ones are important and which ones are urgent. These are not the same thing. Important tasks have to be done because they matter to your business. Urgent tasks have to be done now, even if they are not important. In his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey describes a time management matrix which helps us to visualize the relationship between important and urgent. Imagine a square divided into 4 quadrants. In the top left quadrant, we put the tasks which are important and urgent. The top left quadrant is for high priority tasks. In the top right quadrant, we put important tasks which are not urgent. In the bottom left quadrant, we put tasks which are urgent but not important. And in the bottom right quadrant, we put the tasks which are neither important nor urgent. bottom right are very low priority and will probably never get done. One last tip. I've already said that part of the secret of success is not to get distracted. But that's only part of the secret. The other part of the secret, the real tip, is discipline. Don't put things off. No excuses. Once you have identified your tasks, just get on with them.
Speaker 1.
I'm based in Durban, in South Africa, but I sometimes visit our production facility in Vietnam, near Hanoi. On my first visit there, I was introduced to the top management of our subsidiary soon after I arrived. My visit wasn't very long, and we had some important business to discuss. I expected to meet people, have a short conversation, then get down to business. On the first day, we went to the factory in the afternoon, and I had a tour. That was interesting, but not very useful to me. Then we went out for dinner. I expected this to be a business dinner, but my hosts never mentioned work, and whenever I tried to go on to that topic, they changed the subject quickly. We finally discussed business on the second day. The whole experience really confused me. It was only later that I learnt about how important it is in Vietnamese business culture to get to know people first before talking business. Also, apparently it's okay to talk business at lunch, but almost never at dinner. Now that I understand, it makes a lot of sense. I like it, actually. I guess they think we South Africans are probably too direct.
Speaker 2.
I completely understand that the management needs to know what the sales team is up to, what we're doing. The business depends on our performance. But a few months ago, they asked us to write a weekly report of our sales activities. Before that, it was a monthly report, which I liked. But a weekly report, it's too much, a real pain. I really need to focus on selling. And do the managers really want to read a weekly report from sales reps all over the world? Don't they have more important things to do? I would understand if the sales team were failing, but we aren't failing. The last couple of years have been outstanding for the business. This is a case of too much communication, too much paperwork.
I've scheduled a meeting with one of our biggest clients in France next Monday. China is going to supply the model for the meeting just in time, but it's stressful. If something goes wrong with the shipping, I'll have big problems. We don't have to work this way. Why didn't Mr. Lau send the design model back to manufacturing as soon as he realized there was a problem? Why did he have to ask what I wanted? Why couldn't he just do something instead of waiting for orders from me? It doesn't make sense to me. Not at all.
When I received the design model of the HMO2, I knew the problem was serious. However, Frederick works in head office in Denmark, and he's above me in the company. It's really important for employees to respect their superiors and to include them in making important decisions, so I could never have returned the design model for the correction without first asking Frederick. Teamwork is extremely important in business. It's why we are successful as a company. Also, I knew we could supply the model just in time, so there wasn't going to be a big problem.
Come on, please. Let's stick to the agenda, shall we? Quite honestly, I don't really understand why we're talking about this now.
Actually, I think it's very important indeed. I think the Hong Kong market has great potential. Incidentally, while we're on the subject, I had a phone call from Mrs. Chen the other day, and I took the liberty of telling her that we were thinking of approaching her on a joint venture basis.
Now, look, John. If I were you, I'd be very careful what you say. We haven't come to any kind of decision yet.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, broadly speaking, we try to involve everyone in the decision-making process and not just act on a personal initiative.
Mary thinks we should be looking more towards Eastern Europe.
Absolutely. That's what I've been saying for years.
No way. It just isn't feasible at the moment.
Come on. Well, I think it goes without saying that we're going to have to get together and talk about this in more detail. Perhaps at the next planning meeting.
Well, make that soon.
Okay, all right. What?
So, that's settled, right. Can we now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is... I'd like to say something.
I think you had something to say, Ms. Anderson.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to bring up the problem of just-in-time supply procedures. You've convinced me that they've saved us a lot of money in warehousing, but quite frankly, it seems to me that they actually cause more problems than they solve. Just because Japanese management procedures are fashionable doesn't mean to say that we need to follow them blindly.
Could I just add a word here, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Miss Dice.
I really don't go along with that at all, Lena. An idea should be judged on its merits, okay. But I still think that just-in-time procedures have proved their worth by saving us a great deal of money.
Well, yes, but they've also led to considerable logistical problems with all the trucks we have to keep on the road.
I agree with Lena. If it were up to me to decide, I think we should just give up on just-in-time.
Well, seen from a logistics angle, I have to say that might be a desirable course of action, but I have my doubts as to the feasibility, at least in the short term. It had cost us a small fortune.
No, I'm not sure the logistics problem is as bad as you all make out.
Right, thank you, but if I can just stop you for a moment. It seems to me that, given the differences in opinion, the best thing we can do is adjourn the discussion until we have figures available, okay?
Yeah.
So what I suggest is...
Welcome to our podcast, 3 Questions With. Today's guest is Andreas Hammer, a communications expert. Welcome, Andreas.
Hello.
My first question is for people looking for their first job after school or university. What communication skills do young people need to develop when they start working?
That's a very good question. Speaking is a key communication skill, but in fact, the first thing we all need to do is to remember that it is okay to say nothing at first. Take time to think when someone asks you a question. And if you're not sure you've understood, check. For example, if I'm not clear what information you're asking for with one of your questions, I'll ask you to repeat it. Sometimes in meetings, nobody knows the answer. The worst thing to do is to act like an eager student and answer immediately. I see a lot of clever people who always had the answer at school or college who still want to be the first to answer at work. If I were them, I would say nothing. Quiet people, on the other hand, need to be encouraged to offer ideas, because in meetings we usually arrive at answers and make decisions by sharing lots of different opinions. We can only decide after a lot of discussion.
So, how should young professionals communicate at work?
Compared with school or university, the workplace is more formal. I know some companies have a relaxed dress code, but you still have to use the right language with the right person. If you aren't sure, choose formal. You must also find the right way to communicate. Sometimes you can have a casual conversation by the water cooler, but at other times you need a more formal meeting. Using the phone or sending an email are also very different ways of communication, and it is important to make the right choice. If you're not sure, use the phone. On the phone, you can change your view as you talk. If you send an email, it will be too late to change. Your opinion is fixed.
That's a good point. Finally, what about managers? What communication skills does a good manager need?
We often describe people as good communicators. Managers have to be the best communicators. They are often in the middle between the directors making decisions and the staff having to do what has been decided. A good manager must communicate the sense of the decision in a way the employee understands it personally. Explaining and illustrating for each individual. That's good communication.
Andreas Hammer, thanks very much.
Okay, working in teams of 4, you're going to make a bridge. There are some simple basic rules. First, you have to make the whole bridge. That means you have to make the supports at each end of the bridge and the horizontal span of the bridge. Second, the bridge must be a minimum height of 20 centimeters from the floor. Third, the winning team is the one that builds the longest bridge. That means the distance between the 2 supports. Is that clear? It sounds easy, doesn't it? Well, this is where it becomes more interesting. To make your bridge, you can only use newspapers and sellotape or scotch tape. That's right. Oh, and another thing, you will also see that each team has 6 bars of chocolate. These aren't for eating. Your bridge must be strong enough to support them. Right, you have 30 minutes. Good luck. Okay, you've all finished your bridges, or tried to finish them. How do you think you did? Team 1 first.
Well, our team were doing quite well. But unfortunately, when we put the chocolate on the bridge, it collapsed. We'd made some basic mistakes in the construction. If we had tested the bridge earlier, we would have discovered that it wasn't strong enough. So we could have made some changes.
Good point. Testing and finding time for it is extremely important. What about the other teams? Team 2?
Well, if we had listened carefully to the rules, we wouldn't have made a stupid mistake.
What was that?
We measured the length of the whole of the bridge, not just the distance between the 2 supports. So we didn't listen carefully enough at the beginning.
What about Team 3?
Our group had a different problem. We didn't really agree how to build the bridge before we started. We kept changing our mind. If we'd chosen a leader, we would have made better progress.
In Team 4, we had a similar problem. If we had had more time, we would have finished, but we didn't plan well enough.
Well, planning and decision-making at the beginning is essential. Now, what about Team 5, our winning team? First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
How did you do it?
We made our bridge by rolling up the paper into tubes and sticking these together with the tape. It was a good, strong structure.
Excellent. And now, as a reward, you can all eat your bars of chocolate.
Thanks.
Okay. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Gianni.
I think you know Nick. Yes, we've met. Hi. And this is Emily from Accounts.
Hello, Kim.
Hi, Emily.
Okay. Now, as you know, the management is going to make £10,000 available to spend on a good cause. They've decided that the money can either be given as a donation to a charity, or it can be used to sponsor the arts in our community. The charity they've suggested is WaterAid. That's a charity which is trying to provide safe, clean water to the world's poorest people. And the idea for sponsorship is local, the local theatre.
Oh.
We're here to represent all the other members of staff, and we've been asked to decide the best thing to do with the money. So, who wants to begin? What do you think, Emily?
Well, I'm very keen on the idea of sponsoring the local theatre. I think the arts are very important, and local theatres need all the financial help they can get. £10,000 would help a lot.
Mm-hmm. That money could help a lot more people.
Sorry, Kim, can I finish?
Sorry, I interrupted you, Emily.
That's okay, Kim. The sponsorship is a highly visible marketing tool. It's really good publicity, so we can help the arts and we can help the company at the same time.
Can I just say that I don't think we should be thinking about marketing here. The company's decided to spend £10,000, so I think we have to make sure that we use the money to make the biggest possible impact. That's why, for me, WaterAid is the best option. 2005 to 2015 is the Water for Life decade.
I'm afraid I haven't heard about that.
I imagine a lot of people don't know about it, Nick, but it's really important. The United Nations has decided that making clean water available to millions of poor people in the world is a top priority.
Yes.
Do you have anything to add?
I've got lots to say. But you know, the money will help a lot of people. Just £75 will train 10 community leaders as hygiene educators. £460 will pay for 2 public water points. £1,000 will pay for a well.
What do you think, Nick?
It's a difficult decision. I think sponsoring the local theatre's a good idea. The people who go to the theatre are also our readers, or potential readers, and it will also make our link to the local community stronger.
But I agree with Kim too, that this money will pay for enormous improvements to the water supply in other countries. And after all, water is a matter of life or death. So, I think we should donate the money to the charity.
What's your opinion, Gianni?
Actually, I agree with Emily.
Uh-oh. This looks like being a long meeting.
I'd like to speak to Angela Ferrer, please.
Speaking.
Oh, hello. This is Dave Jones, and I'm phoning from London. I work for Aldi Light Limited, and we have to...
Excuse me, could you just spell your company name for me, please?
Aldi Light. That's ALDI hyphen LITE. Aldi Light Limited.
And how can I help you, Mr. Jones?
My company is organising a sales meeting in Amsterdam next month on the 27th, and we need to reserve a large meeting room.
Did you say the 27th?
Yes,
Let me see. How many people are coming to the meeting?
about 30.
Excuse me, was that 13 or 30?
Sorry, 30. 30. Around 30 to 40 people.
Well, the Maastricht room has a capacity for 50 people, so that would be the best one for your meeting. And it's free on the 27th.
Good. How much does it cost, please?
Do you need the room for the whole day?
No, just the morning, until lunchtime.
The rate for the morning is, just a second, 625 euros.
Does that include tax and all other costs?
Yes, yes, it does.
Great. And, is it possible to organise a coffee break at about 11?
Yes, that's no problem. We charge 3 euros per person.
3 euros. Good. And would it be possible to have lunch at the hotel?
Yes, the standard menu is 27 euros per person.
Sorry, how much did you say?
27 euros.
Oh, and just one other thing. We need a projector and screen for the meeting. Is this possible?
Do you mean a projector for transparencies or for a computer?
A computer projector, please.
That's not a problem. It's included in the fee for the room.
Well, I think that's everything. Oh, could you give me your email address, please?
Yes, of course. The address is aferrer@apeldoornhotel.nl.
Sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Yes, I'll spell it for you if you like. AFERRER at APELDOORNHOTEL.nl. aferrer@apeldoornhotel, all one word, .nl. When can you confirm the reservation, please?
Probably tomorrow. I'll send you an email. Well, thank you very much.
So, Davina, how is the training going?
So far, so good.
Okay. The first thing is that people don't realize that they're phoning India. They think they're calling their own country. If they find out and start to get worried, just tell them that they're not being charged at international call rates. Is that clear?
Yes, it's okay.
All the answers are straightforward so long as you get the right information from the caller. And most of the problems are quite basic anyway. Now, one other thing. We have a lot of calls, so make sure they aren't any longer than they need to be. Be patient with the caller, but keep an eye on the time. If the caller wants to chat a little, then you can be friendly, but keep it brief. Tell them you have another call waiting if you need to. Now, when this light goes on, it means you have a call. As soon as you press this, you're connected and you should greet the caller. Have you got that?
Uh-huh.
Just watch me and ask any questions afterwards. Genius Call Center, Rajiv speaking.
Hello? I can't get into my documents or anything.
What's the last thing that you've done, sir?
Well, it won't accept my password or my username.
Are you sure they're correct?
Yes, When I type them, it says username or password incorrect. But they aren't incorrect. And this is a brand new computer. Listen, the password is...
No, I don't need that, sir. Now, are you sure you haven't put the password in the username box?
What? Don't be. Ah, now it works. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Wow, that was easy.
Sometimes very easy solutions like that are the hardest to find, so watch out for them. You handle the next call.
2.
Genius Call Center. Davina speaking. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm calling from Dubai Airport and I'm having problems with my laptop. My wireless connection won't connect and I have some...
Are you trying to connect to your webmail online?
Yes.
What happens if you try to connect to the internet?
When I connect to the internet, it works. I can't get into my email.
If you can't get into your email, sir, there must be a problem with your email provider. I suggest you try again in 30 minutes.
I'll be flying back to Hong Kong by then. Oh, well, thanks anyway. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir. Was that okay?
Questions? Fine. Be careful not to say good morning. That could confuse them. Otherwise, good.